Is Dorney Park's brand new dive coaster a mistake? Well, let's find out. Dorney Park in Allentown, Pennsylvania recently announced that Iron Menace will be coming to the park for 2024, along with a haunted house themed to Iron in Menaces, I guess. Anyway, the new dive coaster will stand at a height of 160 feet and will reach a top speed of 64 miles per hour, and will also feature four inversions. This coaster is definitely on the shorter end, with only 2,169 feet of track. Although this coaster is short, it appears to pack a little more of a punch than the other large-scale B&M dives. Iron Menace features your standard element inversion. Well, I mean it's a B&M dive. Like, what do you expect? Followed by a zero-G roll, which I like these elements on dive coasters. Then you head into an incline loop. Now this element is a great decision. It's really unique for a dive coaster. It looks to be pretty intense. I think it will really help this coaster stand out amongst the crowd. The corkscrew following the incline loop looks to be okay, but when the coaster is running a little slower, like in the mornings for example, I think that corkscrew could provide some really good hang time. Like, really good hang time. So, this dive coaster seems pretty standard. Sure, they threw in an incline loop, but why would this be better than a normal dive coaster? And you know what? I'm going to tell you. Now, most people's complaints about dive coasters are either they're A, are forceless after the drop, and are just too slowly paced, and are kind of boring. Or B, they really dislike the mid-course brake run on dive coasters, bringing the ride to just about a complete stop. I mean, when you hit the mid-course brake run on, like, a big dive coaster like Valraven, I mean, you might as well let out a collective groan as a train, because it just kills the ride. So, we have these two major problems with dive coasters, and I'm actually relatively confident that Iron Menace solves both of these problems. For starters, there's no mid-course brake run, so that's one problem already solved, and I think there's a good chance that this coaster will pull better forces than most dive coasters. In fact, I feel like the incline loop will be relatively forceful. Now I say relatively forceful. By that, I don't mean, like, as intense as vertical loops on, like, B&M inverts per se, but it should definitely pull more forces than, like, your standard implement inversion on a massive dive coaster. And I feel like it doesn't, like, meander around. It gets straight to the point, and it really does look like it's going to pack a punch. You're going to have four pretty solid inversions back to back to back, with little to no break in between. Which brings me to another big strength of this coaster. This thing will have absolutely no pacing issues. Again, larger B&M dive coasters, they're just slow. They feel slow, and they're kind of boring. But this coaster, at least according to the animation, looks like it's going to go through those elements with some pretty good speed, especially the incline loop. And think, on a hot summer day, that coaster could be running pretty fast. And it could make for a really, really good ride, with good intensity, and good airtime on the drop if you're not stapled. Now, is Iron Menace a mistake for Dorney Park? Should they have gone for something else? Now, there's no way to know for sure whether or not this coaster will be successful, but I can pretty confidently say that Iron Menace is not at all a mistake for Dorney Park. And you know what? I'm going to give you 3 good reasons why this is the perfect coaster for Dorney Park to add. Reason number 1, marketability, marketability, and marketability. Now, I mentioned this in a lot of my videos, but marketability is vital to a coaster's success and popularity, and dive coasters are some of the most marketable attractions out there. Not only does this coaster look awesome to ride, there's a good chance that almost anyone who rides this coaster will enjoy it. And if you really like a certain coaster at a park, you're going to tell people about it. And this is what dive coasters are really good at. They pull people in, and then they ride it, and then they really enjoy the ride. And you know what they do? They get back in line, and they tell people about it. Which brings me to reason number 2. This coaster will bring a lot of buzz around Dorney Park. Now this happens just about every time a park adds a new major attraction. But I feel like Iron Menace will have an even greater effect than normal. There's already been a lot of hype around this coaster. Especially given that it's been 15 years since Dorney's added a new coaster? This really gets the local community excited. Because, they visited Dorney Park growing up as a kid, and there really hasn't been a ton of investment recently, but now they're getting this really cool looking major coaster. They might be like, wow, maybe I should go check out Dorney. And I feel like the name isn't great, don't get me wrong, but the theme of the Pennsylvania and the steel industry Man, they hit the nail on the head with that theme right there. That's the perfect theme for this coaster. I really do wish they had chosen a different name, because the name it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't roll off the tongue good. And I'm really excited to see what they do with theming this coaster. And I feel like they really have a lot of potential to build a cool story around this. And now time for my third and final reason on why Iron Menace is the perfect coaster for Dorney Park. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying the video, then give it a like and consider hitting that subscribe button. Because I really want to hit 100 subscribers by February. And I think we can do it, especially with your help. Now the third and final reason is that I think Iron Menace could actually spark a wave of new investment for Dorney Park. Yes, you heard that right. I think Dorney Park could be seeing a lot more investment in the coming years if Iron Menace is really successful. And the chance of that is actually better than you think. Now I visited Dorney Park, and I was able to do everything I wanted to do in one evening, like 4, 5, 6 hours maybe. But with Iron Menace there, maybe I wanted to come back that next morning before heading to Hershey Park, just to get one more ride on Iron Menace. And hey, maybe while I'm there, maybe I go ride Talon again, go ride Hydra again, go ride Possessed again. And then at that point, I might as well just get lunch in the park, and that just made Dorney Park so much more money by me theoretically coming back to go just ride Iron Menace one more time. Now when I visited, we did try to come back the second day, but there was lightning in the area, so we just didn't feel like it was necessary to come back. If we had really liked Iron Menace the day before, maybe we would have tried a little harder, and maybe stayed a little longer to just see if Iron Menace would open up, because we really enjoyed it. And you know, I just made a video about parks that could get sold off because of the Six Flags and Cedar Fair merge. And let me get this straight. Dorney Park, I don't think, is in trouble whatsoever. Dorney Park will stay in the Six Flags chain for many, many years to come. And I have no worries that it's going to be sold off anytime soon. And if you're a fan of Dorney Park, you might be thinking, man, this video is getting better and better for us. And the truth is, yeah, Iron Menace means a lot to this park. And I think it's essential that they get this done and do it right. And I feel like this coaster is definitely coming at a pretty decent time, as this will hopefully help boost attendance for the park right as Six Flags is taking over. And by that, I mean the newly formed Six Flags Entertainment Company. Just to make myself clear. And when Six Flags is looking over the numbers, if Dorney's attendance has really jumped with Iron Menace, they might see it fit to add another coaster or some new flat rides to the park, which just helps out Dorney Park even more. So, Iron Menace is the perfect coaster for Dorney Park. And I see no reason why this coaster will not be successful. If you enjoyed the video, then give it a like, and maybe hit that subscribe button if you feel like it. And I would highly recommend doing so, because each week I put out 3 high quality videos about roller coasters and theme parks, along with a YouTube short or two to showcase some of the cool roller coasters that I've ridden. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.